Hi, this is Schizophrenia Matters, and today I'd like to talk about traumatic events and schizophrenia. Um, Obviously, I've had schizophrenia for a long time, and I have not been one to shy away from life. Um, uh, up until I really had this last phase, I've been really out in the world. I've had close friends. I've had good ties with people, but that I have put on strain through psychosis. Um, but when it comes down to it, I have seen a lot of traumatic events in my life. And I'm not really going to go into the types of traumatic events. I've just seen a lot of them. I've seen some wild things in my life. From suicides to accidental deaths to murders. That's a part of my story. And I've been firsthand accounts on all of those. So, um, overcoming those, and I've lost a good friend, multiple good friends, over the course of years. And so, all of these are trauma inducing, there's things that I can't control about my external experience that I need to adjust to internally, right? I need to know that I can, in fact, overcome these things, or these bad experiences, and I can work on these experiences through the same way, through contemporary ways, through therapy, through medication, through behavioral therapy. You can, and cognitive behavioral therapy. I really, these days, you would think that people would be lining up to help you if you have schizophrenia, but modern day therapy, really will focus on, if you're having problems with your job, or if you're having problems with loneliness, or these things that are maybe kind of minor things that are or family issues. They're not minor, but they're very important. But they are, they are dealing with a healthy individual, more sense than having schizophrenia. You're talking about, people who may have behavioral issues or things like that, but they have a clearly cognitive abilities. So, when it comes down to, talking about traumatic events and recovering from them, it can be an extra challenge, because you don't want to. I had a lot of delusions that were wrapped up in why I was seeing the types of things that I was seeing, and unpacking those delusions around that really brought up a lot of those feelings that I underwent, when I was when I experienced them. So being ready, being willing and able to accept the pain that goes along with that, and coming to grips with, loss, while having schizophrenia is hard. It's hard. It's hard because it's a thing that conflicts with your expectation of what reality is. especially unexpected loss, or any other type of massive traumatic experience. And I think, that really comes down to, it's an amplification of a normal response, but it can be extreme. It can trigger another cognitive event, or a psychotic event. So, if you are in recovery, if you're in maybe a residual phase of schizophrenia and you're in recovery, and you're working on, these things, and you're going through, and you're thinking about the loss, I just hope, that you can have some calmness around those thoughts, and some comfort around those thoughts, because they really are a big factor for why I kind of want to insulate myself from the rest of the world, why I want to stay in, but it's a delusion to think that I can stay in my apartment forever, or because I'm afraid of the world, and that is just not going to happen, so or wherever you're at, but I think finding good therapy, and allowing yourself to have a good therapist, and to develop a relationship with a therapist, and allow yourself to experience, and to bring those types of things up, while you have schizophrenia, is beneficial if your schizophrenia is in residual phase, or you have the ability to do those things, like it is a matter of clawing back my emotions, like I want to have a reasonable emotional set, that I can respond to with, that I can respond with the appropriate emotions, to events, like I think, I've been so traumatic, have so much traumatic experiences. It's hard to be in a way that I can actually do that, so I'm really working on that. I haven't seen any traumatic events since my last schizophrenic episode, and I've really tried to make sure I don't. I really kind of insulated my life, in a way that it's not sustainable. But on the same end, I have to do it for the time being. I feel like I'm on the mend. Like hopefully within the year, I'm working again, but it's that avolition, that lack of goal-directed behavior, that I'm really struggling with, and I'm really trying to make that my next hill that I'm climbing, and I'm doing that by making these videos, and I'm trying to aim for advocacy. And I'm trying to be a voice for folks to relate to that often don't have anybody to relate to. 3 months ago, I fixed the source code, and I was screaming mad. I had no idea where I was at. It was in a completely different world. I thought that that I had voices telling me to hurt myself. And so but today I'm talking about, recovering from past traumas. I'm talking about, I'm talking about issues related to mental health. And I want to be an advocate for those that may not be able to have that type of voice. I want to use the privilege that I have to at least to raise awareness, and I'm also in a point where, you know, I want to raise awareness about the trauma that we do endure. You know, that's real life trauma, and that we have not only that trauma, but our own mental health issues. And so it just compounds all of those initial problems. So we need good therapy, in order to overcome these things within ourselves. And I think that, you know, you can, you know, with therapy and with a good approach. You know, if the conditions are right, you know. So I do have, you know, that traditional prodromal. I have the active phase, and then or an acute phase, I have the residual phase. And I'm in the residual phase right now, and I'm treating it like a recovery phase. You know, I'm treating it like a phase of rebuilding my life, after a storm. You know, that's the way I look at it. Like, you know, like I had a massive hurricane rip through my life, and I was it. And now it's a matter of you know, I didn't get my windows boarded up properly, so they're blown out. So I'm rebuilding everything from the ground up, you know. And that includes how I handle the deaths of my friends, and how I handle the traumas that I'm going to undergo through life, no matter what, whether I'm mentally ill or not. And hopefully, you know, through that, I'm becoming stronger, and I'm able to hang on a little bit harder, a little bit stronger, and I can help a little bit more along the way. And that's really what's kind of the main motivation, and right now, and my goal settedness is to see if I can use my experiences to help others. And that really is the main motivation here. That's what I'm selling, you know. I hope, you know, I hope you appreciate, you know, like, you can watch my videos, you know, and like you know, but I'm aiming for advocacy and giving voice to people who don't have a voice. If you have schizophrenia, if you've been through trauma, I hope you find some comfort, and I hope you have a good day. Thanks.